Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Friday the 16th of July 2021 and we're publishing our regular morning update where we look at the latest news headlines, economic reports and precious metal prices. Today we can see that gold and silver are down, reversing most of yesterday's gains, but still holding above key support levels. So let's take a look. Well, welcome to our Friday morning update. The sun is shining strongly and we're told we're going to have a fabulous weekend. So in order to spend as much time sunbathing as possible, let's get through the day as quickly as we can. So, headline news. UK warns COVID curbs may return if cases get out of control. This is a warning issued by the British government that with the lockdown measures now, as far as England is concerned, being virtually all but removed, they're saying act responsibly. The future of space is bigger than Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson or Elon Musk. Okay, we agree this is taking too many headlines. Exciting stuff though it is, but at the end of the day, only the wealthy can take advantage. But they're pioneers. Pioneers for those who enjoy a thrill. We're a little bit too old for that now. I remember the greatest thrill that I had was training to become a pilot in my very late teens and the prospect of flying in a Hercules transporter. I think that was the fastest aeroplane I flew. In those days it was tornadoes, jets, hawks, and I get a Hercules transporter. Oh well. Patek Philippe has 7 new Aquanaut watches. Here's what to know. So if you have the odd 30, 50, 70, 90, 120, 150,000 pounds or dollars, you know where to go. Nothing really gripping the imagination, quite frankly. However, we did spot this. UK's office workers set to stay at home as reopening falls flat. And this may actually be copied around the world. The easing of government guidance is unlikely to set off a wholesale return to workplaces. On Monday, England's white-collar workers will be free from government guidance telling them to work from home. Few executives are planning for a stampede of staff back to long-neglected desks. In the City of London, even banks that have been relatively vocal in their support for a widespread return to the office aren't planning for a return to normal anytime soon. Face masks and rotational schedules will remain at JP Morgan Chase & Co. as it maintains a 50% occupancy limit at its offices in England. Bank of America is expecting just a few hundred more staff to return out of a total London employee base of 4,500. And Deutsche Bank AG is gradually encouraging more employees to spend more time in the office over the summer on a voluntary basis. Now, this cautious approach, which we fully understand, actually could be replicated and probably will be replicated in large extent across the world. Will this adversely affect our global recovery? Well, to some degree it depends the extent to which people remain at home as opposed to going into the office and whether those two jobs are interchangeable. If you can do as much work at home as you can in the office, then what's the point having an office? And we believe over time, the one lasting effect this pandemic has had is it has shown businesses, particularly big businesses, that they can run their operations from home. So what is the need for these hugely expensive offices in the heart of major cities? We expect to see some scaling down as time moves on. But of course, in order to achieve that, you have to have a darned good internet superstructure available, which is why 5G Plus is so important. Looking at Reuters, main news here tends to be more international concerns. Reuters journalist killed covering clash between Afghan forces, Taliban. World leaders dial in as New Zealand hosts special APEC meeting on pandemic. US to sanction Chinese officials and warn companies over Hong Kong sources. That's an interesting one for those into crypto. Pakistan moves to bring cryptocurrency boom out of the dark. Hungary PM calls EU action on LGBT rights legalised hooliganism. Really very positive news. UK, BBC, younger adults risk COVID organ damage study. You can see the general tenor. It's still this considerable fear over the pandemic. With the level of deaths and infections, we understand it. But we should be talking now about how we get our economy out of the rut that it's in faster and to a greater extent in terms of growth. United States, the Biden-Merkel meeting, traditional photograph there. Good friends can disagree, Mr. Biden says, of their dispute over a Russia to Germany pipeline. And of course, at the end of the day, every country's leader has to look after the interests of their own country, and Merkel is certainly doing that before she retires. Why the US is launching a $300 monthly child benefit. We mentioned this yesterday. What we thought was quite interesting about that is that when we compare that benefit to the UK, and most people know we have one of the most, shall we say, prolific welfare state benefits in the world. Not necessarily the best, but certainly one of the most far-reaching. And I had a quick look at what we pay children or parents of children in this country, and it's the equivalent for the first child of $127 a month, and a second child or more, $87 a month. So $300 monthly child benefit seems extremely generous indeed in comparison. News: COVID staff shortage could shut meat production, and this again is the dilemma. Fewer and fewer people now want to go back into the work environment. Goldman to require staff to wear masks from Monday, which we've just covered. Revolut becomes most valuable UK startup ever, and we produced a video on this yesterday. We'll talk about that later on. And I think really that tends to be it. Oh, the boss of Goldman Sachs International, Richard Noddle, tells the BBC the company remains as committed to its London head office as ever. Looking at financials, dollar index down 0.01 at 92.6, holding well in the 92 range. Looking at oil, Brent crude up 0.32 of a dollar, 32 cents, and the same with WTI crude. Now both in their early 70s, $70 that is. Stocks yesterday, Wall Street up, S&P and Nasdaq down, but again, and you've noticed this over recent days, really small percentages. UK and Europe are up currently. We're trading now. That was Wall Street close. Broadly again, less than 0.5%. And Asia Pacific overnight, broadly down, the two main ones down at less than 1%, but the Hang Seng just marginally in the green. Economic data yesterday was quite interesting. The initial jobless claims, 360,000, exactly as anticipated, and down from the previous week's 386. There was some concern over that. Import price index, only 1% rise, exactly as anticipated. The Empire State Index, though, gosh, 43 compared to 17.3. Huge jump. Very positive economically. Philadelphia Index, though, the opposite. Actually down. Industrial production, 0.4%. That's down on the previous month of 0.7 and expectations of 0.6. And we had Fed Chair Jerome Powell testifying and basically confirming his relatively dovish stance. And what was interesting we noticed yesterday is that, of course, we have to bear in mind that Fed Chair Jerome Powell's office tenure, I think, ends in February, by which time they either re-enlist him or find a new Fed chair. And the general consensus is he will be replaced. Yes. Janet Yellen apparently is quite angry with him for not being tougher, wait for it, on the banks, allowing the banks rather a loose rein. We suspect there's more to that story than meets the eye, and we'll report on it once we get the details. Now today, important data. Retail sales, consumer sentiment index. Could move the markets. Not gigantically, but could have an effect. So when we look at gold and silver prices now, they could be a little different by the end of the day, depending what the figures show. So gold has fallen back $9 over the last 24 hours, standing at 1,824. We went into the metrics yesterday as to support and resistance. If you want to refer to that, we've put a link below. So 1824 compared to Friday's close of 1809 is a positive $15. Silver down 14 cents at 26.23. Similar situation to gold, higher than Friday's close of 26.13, but only by 7 cents in this case. But fortunately, silver's holding above 26, gold's holding above 1800. Bitcoin, the chart won't come up for some reason, but it's down $514 over the last 24 hours, and over the last week is down 1,240. Now that's it for now. We produced a few videos yesterday. Revolut, most valuable UK startup, $24 billion worth. This is a digital company. And we talked about the digital Yuan and digital euro to be launched soon. Now we did publish these quite late last night, so if you haven't had notifications or perhaps you've missed them, please take a look at that. We may very well do a consolidated video of those two as well later today. Not sure yet. We'll make up our minds as the day progresses. But basically, we've put links to these below. Tomorrow, we have our weekly roundup and forecast for next week. Please don't miss that. And we're launching a few videos over the course of the next 2 or 3 days on the Crypto Plus channel. So those interested in that side of the fence, please go and take a look. Thank you so much for listening. Please give us a thumbs up, helps the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe, press the bell sign, and last but not least, have a great day. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.